Yeah, on the data science part, yes. Okay.
Yeah, not on the DevOps part. I am not interested that side.
Okay. Even with respect to, I think at the data science part where I have worked for the two projects, when you are at the ETL part, you are actually when we are bringing the data to the system
Mm-hmm.
from unstructured to a structured,
Mm-hmm.
with the cloud. Okay. Then it might be in any of the format, but at the end of the day, it is at the database, any of the data was the RDBMS or NoSQL. There from there, your models will be actually squeezing the data, getting the data, reading the data, and maybe predictions or other things will happen with the model, and then later the output, the visualization. Okay. There also you have the cloud, which is on-prem.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
True,
we
true.
have one more
So
thing,
more
that
mainly I'm focused on to AWS Glue, that is main thing, and AWS EMR and Kinesis.
Okay.
DevOps is anyway for deployment and just for like high level how to create a Docker file and deploy into AWS environment.
Yeah, the all the resources, the knowledge of data, and the deployment at the end of the day, getting the data with respect to any application that's a deployment. With respect to your field is the data science, that's getting the data and processing it.
Yeah, yeah. So you are working any corporate or this training?
Yeah, actually, we don't reveal much, but we are currently working in the corporate as well as whatever 1 or 2 hours which we extendedly give uh, as a training, and DURGASOFT is the best in the unpaid, so I would like to have an association with them.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm attending from US because it's a time for me having free time.
Oh, okay. I think the current time there is 10:30 a.m., right?
I'm in CST, so 8:30, 9 o'clock,
9 a.m. Okay.
9 a.m. From tomorrow onwards, it will be 1.5 hour gap.
Okay. So we have Gaurav. Gaurav, can you hear me? Yep. Gaurav, can you hear me?
Mm.
Gaurav, I hope you're on mute. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Sir, I can't see the screen, sir. Hello, sir.
You, yeah. I'm not sharing the screen, but can you hear me, right, Gaurav?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Now I can hear you.
So, Gaurav, have you joined this demo session before?
Sir, right now I have joined, sir.
You're joining the first time?
No, no. Yesterday also I joined,
Okay.
and today I am joining right now, sir.
Okay. I got it. So, shall we start? Gaurav and Vijay, we three are there. Let's have this demo session started, and it's been nearly 16 minutes. So, I think others, if they are joining late, they'll be joining with other demo batches or other batches. Okay.
So this is also demo again.
Not as a demo, but as you are joining, I was asked to give a demo again, but this is your second day, right? So let's start with the things. Okay.
Yeah, because we both have joined yesterday. It's no point of discussing again
Sorry,
the same thing.
start the session.
Yeah, just hold on. Just hold on for 30 seconds. I'm refreshing. Yep, Gaurav and Vijay, two things in this demo. One is the first half an hour or maybe 25 minutes, there will be some demo session going on, and I'll be taking, because you guys both have completed the demo. I'll be taking the class one uh, for today. Is it fine, or is you want any changes in that?
Let's start with the class, first class.
Yeah. Actually, there is one more student who is actually joining. So just hold on. Take this as a day one. Uh, okay, fine with this, Gaurav and Vijay.
Okay, sir.
Sure. Okay. Now, as you have seen, the basic functionality of what is an application, what is the front end and back end. Just to revise, you have seen that you have the front end and then you have the back end. And I'll draw a little bit of database, a simple database, which may or may not be hosted in the cloud, or it can be an on-prem or a simple cloud, or cloud on the AWS part of it. Okay, so let me know the technologies through which you actually make the front end and the back end. If I take some of the examples, this HTML, you have the CSS for the beautification, you have the JavaScript or any of the framework like Angular or React. Okay, on the backend side, you can develop it using a Java, okay, and Python.NET, and the database RDBMS or in the NoSQL form. Okay, and coming, you can have an on-prem or cloud or AWS. Now, what will be the features of the particular website or any other application, web application or a normal application? Let's start with the day one. Okay, the cloud features. What are all the cloud features that by default that you get, and why are you selecting the cloud? In the demo we have seen, if you do not select, then you have only the option for uh, on-prem. Okay, on-prem is little costly. Then you have the web application. In the demo we have stated what is a static web application and dynamic web application. Static as maybe some four, 5 or 6 pages, which doesn't give the information from where the client is accessing your website, and any information about the client is not recorded, or anything is not happening. In the dynamic web application, you have a list of things which you can record, you can actually see and get the stats, analytics part of it. Okay, now what are the web application security, top 10 web application security risks? Any idea? Like, yeah, I'm sharing the screen. I hope I'm sharing the screen. Yeah. And
Yes.
you can see that you need to make your application or the web application secure. Okay. So what are the different security features that you need to concentrate? Okay. Is first is the SQL injection. Okay. In a very simple way, you have your username and password, which
Laptop
is
Anka.
comes under the category of authentication. Okay. So during the authentication, or even if you have a third party server from which you are taking, which you are connecting as a payment application or any other third party server, you need an authentication here also. Authentication and authorization. For the users, special users, you have the role based. You authenticate them and you authorize them. So, what is the difference between authentication and authorization? And how do you do this in cloud is your day one. That's called as the IAM. Okay. So at the end of the, we'll start with this day one with understanding all the things about the web application and the categories, how it is divided in the cloud, the basics of cloud, how it starts. You have seen all the service category like storage, the compute, and day one is for the IAM. Okay. So here my first question is, what is the difference between authentication and authorization?
Sir, I think that authentication is the sir to verify that the user is valid or not when he will provide the username and password,
Yeah,
then he will
exactly.
be authorized.
Yeah. So you have the username and the his password. The first thing is that you have the sign-in page where you first create the username and password using the sign-in page, and the database table has this as serial number with the username, password, and sometimes as the tokens which are generated. Okay. Then you have the technology of the token called as the. If you are in the Java, because I'm experienced with Java, it is say it's a token based JWT where you create a token and token is maybe expired after 90 minutes or depending upon the business requirement you can expire the token for 10 minutes also. You go to an ATM, you have the session only for 2 minutes. The token is generated. This token is exchanged between the HDFC ATM or the ICICI if you're using two different if you're going to HDFC ATM with an ICICI, you generate the session token, and then it is being exchanged between two different applications. In the web also, you also first generate the first have the username and the password through the sign in page. Then through the login page, you actually authenticate it, authorize it. Sorry, when you authorize it, then all the resources at the backend and also at the database, you are authorizing it. Now in the cloud also you have the concept of IAM where you create the users. There will be one root user. There will be other as non-root users who will be given access to some of the resources in your whole project. Okay, some of the resources in your whole project. Just like if you are, for example, if I take any example to, it's like you have the database and if the user is you want your developer only to read that particular data, then you have that particular user, even you create the different roles in it and you add up that particular user to the particular role. Okay, so in that way you have the authentication. Now if this is the authentication, then you also have the some security questions like username and password. If it is given one double equals to one, which is a true value, it gives the web. It has a what do you call this? If somebody uses others password without having the password, he just enters one is equals to one, and he enters through that identity. What do you call it?
Sir,
It's a vulnerability, right?
mm, sir, unauthorized access, I think it will be.
Okay.
So
So
basically, password is successful, right? That's what you are trying to say.
yeah. So you should make sure that your web application or any other application that you are actually deploying shall meet this top 10 web application security risk. They have to be closed with this risk. You need to have a checklist, and in your checklist, this should be your first point to make sure that there is no SQL injection happening and anybody is not able to actually give the password as one. I can actually go into the Facebook of Gaurav, and if I give password as 1 double is equals to 1, which is true, always true, then if I'm able to access the Facebook of Gaurav, then the Facebook as a company has SQL injection as the security risk. Okay. So maybe your web application or anything that you're deploying on the cloud, you need to make sure these top 10 web application security risks are actually closed or it doesn't exist. Now, for knowledge, you have the broken authentication. What is the broken authentication? Username and password as admin and admin. Anybody good? How can you make sure in a web application somebody is giving as username as admin and password as admin? Then you should have your code in the backend or a JavaScript code at the client side. Okay, at the client side itself, which will make sure that the password has strength. You might have seen some of the web applications which says that your password is very weak. It shows as red color. Okay, then you type your password in a different complex way. It says that it is 80% strong. So you should also have that feature in your application or a web application. Okay. Uh, then sensitive data exposure. Okay. Uh, Here I think experience can understand that if your application is hosted in Europe, you have the GDPR. If it is hosted in America, you have different organizations where if you expose the data and if you are found out by them, then you are being fined. There will be a big problem for, see, very simple. You will be a server engineer or a cloud engineer, maybe with experience, hands-on with AWS and hands-on with GCP. Okay. Now, once you are working in a project, you should be aware. Even if you're leading the team, you should be more aware that okay, my application is actually hosted in different continental zones like Europe or Australia, even in Asia. Then I need to make sure the servers are the data from the server is not actually being transferred from one place to another, one country to another. So you need to make sure that sensitive data exposure is in there. If you're caught, you'll be fined, and there would be very big fines for you guys. The healthcare data, especially with the GDPR, social security numbers. If you're working on any application, you need to make sure the architecture is designed in such a way that it is not. Even if you're getting the social security number from the client with all the data, for example, think that all the hospitals in Europe, all the hospitals in US, you are getting the data. You need to make sure you mask it. Okay, it shouldn't be visible. Any developer or any operations team, they cannot go into the database, have access. First of all, you should not give the access. Even if they have the access, they give a query through the SQL tools, and they should not be able to get the data of social security number or any other profit from the stocks. If you're working on the stock brokerage company and you architected their application, whole web application, it should be in such a way that the profit loss or any sensitive data shall not be exposed, so that any before the application is deployed, nobody shall be able to view the data. Okay, and even after your whole application is developed and it's like going live, nobody should be able to actually access the data. First of all, you should not bring the data out of the country, and even if somebody who is working as an engineer there, as a in the operations there, they should not have that particular access. Real estate values, of course, you understand from what is that. And XML entities, you have two applications, just like I have said. You have one backend server, another server which are exchanging the XMLs. Okay, and these XMLs will have a lot of vulnerabilities. Any man in the middle attack, what he will do, he will edit these XMLs which are being exchanged between both of them, because there is no token base, there is no authorization here. You know that data coming from this server, your backend also knows that the data coming from this server, whatever is genuine. Then these XMLs are accepted. Even XMLs have very great vulnerabilities. Okay, broken access control. As I said, access control and no role-based project. Just like you have the whole web application. Sorry, I'll draw the new. You have the front end, the back end, and anybody who can create their username and password and accept this as a role. Okay, they have selected the role as admin in the admin group. Okay, administrator backend. You should be able to restrict them in there. That should be your design for the architecture. Okay, then security misconfiguration here, because it's a web application which will be hosted into an EC2 server. Like you have a server. Let me draw it so that it's very visible. Now you have this application server which is hosted on an EC2 server. You have two kinds of engineers working on it. At the first phase, during the development, you have maybe 18 developers who had the access to the server. You need to revoke them. Then during the operations, when it goes live, the whole application is live. Okay, you should make sure these servers do not have the access. It's a live through the console of the AWS account from the company. Okay, if I go into my AWS account, where is it? Okay, I have not taken into, I have not logged in. Think that particularly now today Facebook is on AWS. Just an example, it wouldn't be, but or maybe in NSC, that is the stock brokerage of India, NSC, BSC, they are on AWS. So any company who is maintaining this NSC website, which recently had a failure of 3 to 4 hours, and there was a great loss, right? So they have migrated to cloud, and because it has a lot of features on it, which will make sure that even if it is down, there is some other secondary server going on. They had their on-prem server. That's the reason it happened. That's the reason I'm taking the example now. Okay, so you have developed the whole application. It is live now. There are a lot of transactions happening in the stock brokerage, and the security, the AWS certified engineers who are actually maintaining it shall not be able to change the configuration. The configuration shall be able, the configurations of this one should be that they should only have the read access. They should not be able to delete the whole source code. Even if they, without the permissions of their hierarchy manager or the tech lead or regional manager, everything has to be under the hierarchy. I hope you're following it. Gaurav and Vijay
Yes, sir.
are not going a little faster, right? Yep, Vijay, can I get a confirmation?
Yeah.
So, there is a reason why this is at the day one, right? Here I'm giving you all the example from the website, but slowly I'm migrating to cloud services, cloud as a whole, not just AWS. Okay, cross-site scripting. Now, what is a cross-site scripting? Anybody? Yep. Any idea? Okay, so maybe you have a front end, and there is some requirement where the backend server is required to connect to any other server and get back the data or the details to authenticate, or maybe any other requirement. So there is a cross site. What will happen in this is this is called as a cross site. Okay, so sometimes the client in his the client browser setting will disable the JavaScript, saying that CORS has to be disabled in the JavaScript setting or the browser setting. So what will happen, that any code that is being executed in the backend they won't be able to get the data from any other server. What will happen is that they have developed it, but if this server gets a man in the middle attack, or this server is actually being hacked, they will keep a different source code, okay, and this will be a vulnerability, and next time when there is a request, this code will be actually deployed in this particular server, and this server which is belonging to the company 1, this is belonging to company 2. Because of the vulnerabilities of this server is also breached. Okay, that is what is a cross-site scripting. So during in your deployment during the cloud, in the cloud also, you should make sure this cross-site scripting as a parameter is also taken care, and these vulnerabilities are scratched off, that you have taken care about this particular one. Insecure deserialization, what is the meaning of this? Insecure deserialization is like if you have a Java code, you are sending the logs or maybe some object, you're deserialization to any text file or uh, any other format, and you're keeping it on the database, you're keeping it on another server. This deserialization should, and this serialization, it's called as keeping the object on any other network or file, and deserialization is getting it inside the system. This deserialization also should make sure that it is done in a proper way, authenticated, and if this is think that any hacker changes the object, he introduces new code which will go inside it, and it will make it vulnerable, it will expose the data, then there is an issue, right? That's the reason deserialization also has to be taken care if you're doing any deserialization in your project or technically inside it. Using components with known vulnerabilities. One example in 2017, you might have seen that if you're working in a banking industry, they have received a uh, letter from the government, letter from the anybody who is using struts of version 3. They have to remove it, and they have to upgrade that particular struts package, okay, up to 3.7. If they're using below 3.7, or especially as the 3.4, then you have the server which have the dependency of any framework, particularly this struts in 2017. You have the dependency, you have the Java whole application that is running, and this you have to remove. So you should be always vigilant about the market where you're getting the news. If think that companies are not having any particular person who is actually keeping an ear about these things on the news, or this company is not subscribed to these news, or any particular organization at Asia level, India level, or maybe at the US, you have different organizations. If they are not subscribed, they won't hear the news, and nobody would be bothered to remove this struts 3.4 version, okay, because hackers, they have discovered that hackers, they have a different technique. Using, if they have 3.4 version, they can enter into your backend, or maybe the whole ecosystem they can enter, and they can introduce a new vulnerability. It's a vulnerability, they can introduce a new code which can destroy some of the business, they can destroy your data, they can make some transactions, send it to their account. Okay, I hope I'm taking more examples. Do you still need any more examples on each of the topics, Gaurav?
Sir, it's okay, sir. I am understanding.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Then you have insufficient login and monitoring. Suddenly you have a client who comes to you and says that my website isn't working, what are you guys doing? Then you during the architectural diagram also, only during the requirement phase and during the analysis phase, when you are designing your architecture, you should have these important points of keeping a logging. Every server should have the logging. These logs has to be stored for a minimum of 30 to 40 days, depending upon the business requirement, technically and non-technically, on the requirements. And you should also have the monitoring. If the number of active users increases, okay, and monitoring, stating that if some of the services in a microservice way. I'll come to the microservice part of things. In a any microservice or any service is down, any server is down, you should receive an email, you should receive a notification. If you're a smaller company using AWS, you can actually keep SNS, one of the services from AWS called simple notification service. This notification can be sent to your email. Notification can be sent to the mobile. So think that Gaurav is running his website, gauravjewellers.com, and his servers are being maintained by some of the startups or any other MNC. But he still needs to know that if any main server is down due to any reason, he should receive an SMS to his personal mobile number, because it's his business. He is investing his own personal money, his family money into it. So he wants his so the company whichever is maintaining this, whoever is developed or maintained, maybe somebody else has developed, but maintenance has gone to any other company. So he can send they can use an SNS called simple notification service from the Amazon, and this will be SNS as a service can also be applied on the AWS server. AWS, any kind of service, if it is down or if it is going, they can have different parameters, metrics. If it is server, if it is down, if it is any load balancer, if the traffic is, so all these metrics can be sent as a notification to Gaurav's mobile. And if he is very active on the Gmail, he can ask his company to say I should get a receive an email as well as notification. This notification currently it is only through messaging service, not through any calls or any other way. Okay. So you should have sufficient logging, even logging, because if you have any failure, any client comes, you can actually go to the log stating that, okay, since the last 3 hours, you can see all the logs because it is recorded. You can see the actual exceptions. Technically, you can see the exceptions that's happening. This is how the operation team works in the backend. That whenever something happens, they first go into the server logs, all the components, database logs, or load balancer logs to check what was the issue. Okay. Now, coming to the AWS features. Now we have seen that as a web application or a normal application, you have authentication, authorization, logging, monitoring. So these are the basic features that you need to take care. And what does cloud and Amazon play a role in it? It's like provisioning. Of course, you're deploying, you are provisioning some of the servers, you're provisioning different services like load balancer, API, SNS, SES is simple email service. You have different services which we will be going through today. Then monitoring and event management. Okay, you do not have to write down a more code in your Java level. You can actually opt for one more service called as the cloud front or cloud watch CW as a service. And if you have your EC2, and if you have one more component, I won't just name it, but if you have two components, you can use CloudWatch on this server, CloudWatch on this. Okay, and you can go into the cloud watches and see all the logs being aggregated at one place. If this cloud watch wasn't there, you would have to write down the technically you would have to write down loggers using different frameworks. Log4j is at the Java level, or at the server also. At the server, if you're using Windows server, then you can have your Windows logs, registry logs all sent to a new server, or it is being placed at one place. It's better actually you're sending to a new server, because if this access to this server goes, then even the logs you won't be able to access if there is any natural calamity. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Then patch and continuity. Yeah. Sorry. Any query? Questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, then AWS features, AWS provides with the patch and continuity management. You have your own server. If there is any operating system vulnerability being exposed in the news, and you are worried that you are using the same Linux server of same version, is it my responsibility because I have provisioned this AWS? It's not your responsibility. In the backend, the AWS will take care that yeah, it is patching its operating system, it is patching its antivirus, all the components belonging to the server, all the components belonging to any other services in the AWS. It is their responsibility. They will take care of the maintenance. They will take care about the continuity of it. As I have given you example in the demo, Gaurav, he has given one project to one company which has developed, and the maintenance he has given to the other company. Now the company which has developed have taken the provision the servers in Mumbai only because it was a requirement only for India. Gaurav business is only in India, so they have provision in Mumbai. Now the other company which doesn't have access to the source code which is deployed in the server, and the server is in the data center for AWS Mumbai. Okay, now this company will, if the whole Mumbai data center is off, it is not it's not reachable. The whole data center is down. Then the new company would say that we haven't developed it, we haven't provisioned it. It's not our responsibility. So, whom would you blame, Gaurav? Will you blame the first company which has developed it, keeping it in the Mumbai? So, seeing this as a feature, okay, seeing this as the problematic thing that is happening, or AWS will have is giving you guarantee that okay, if you are deploying provisioning only at one center, you do not have to keep a secondary at different centers. Even if you do not have the secondary, your code is very secure at us. They will take a backup of your code in a regular interval of time from one data center to any other data center which is at a different geographical location. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Availability. I have shown you what is the availability of what is the concept of availability. It's like the data centers are available 11 times, okay, 99.9999 times, and you don't have to worry. Even if it is not available, it will be redirected maybe to Europe, okay. But the people from India, the customers from India, they won't find any latency. They have taken care about the latency at the first place. Now, security and access management, of course, they are providing you with the IAM, but it is our responsibility that whoever we are providing access to the developers, we should make sure that the access level is very low. You cannot provide a developer with the access stating that okay, we have the company account, okay, this company account of the AWS. You can see, okay, I'm not logged in, but if I'm logged in, I'm using my own credit card or debit card, and then I'm logging in, I'm using the free tier of the cloud, okay. But if you are in a company, the credentials will be used by the company's website at an enterprise level. Now think that in a company, if there are 20 projects and each project has some 5 to 6 developers, there are 60 developers working on 20 different projects. They have their work, just keep it as 9 to 5, they are working and using the same AWS credentials to get hands-on with other products of AWS. Just like, for example, if I do not know one of the surveys in big data, BigQuery. Okay, I'm working in my company, and they have given me access to BigQuery from the GCP. I take one example of Google. BigQuery, if I want to do some hands-on, write some Hello World program on it, process some data on it, right? Then if I'm able to put some data, process it, and then get back, who is the person who will be billed? Is it me who will be billed, or is it the company?
Mm,
Yeah,
sir,
Vijay. See, the company will have their own credentials, right? They will use the enterprise name, maybe like which company you're working in, Gaurav?
sir, I am a fresher. Sir,
Okay, okay. Take that your dream company is Infosys. Infosys will have their own credentials. Infosys with their own password, right? You log into the console and you see that the billing is done. There are 50 developers, everybody. Now you need to make sure that as an architect or the managers at higher levels should make sure that the developers are getting only the access as read only for all the products and services in the AWS. They should not be able to provision them only if they are belonging to a project and that project has three services S3, EC2 and Lambda. Then their role should be created in such a way that only three services they can provision it, they can use it so that they can test it before the start of the project or before the development. Hope you're following Vijay and Gaurav. Any doubts in that?
Uh,
Yeah, I'm following it.
yes, sir.
Sure.
Following.
So in this way, AWS provides you at a very minute level to give the roles. One role you can have it in your just role name as XYZ, and this role, whoever is user is attached to this particular role can actually use only three services from the AWS. That is the Lambda, Kinesis, and S3. Then they will be only allowed. They will be allowed only to provision these three maybe provision for 1 or 2 days, and their scrum master or maybe their managers or tech lead should make sure they have their notification service on, they have their set up their email services about their billing, that once it reaches more than $20 they have to be sent a mail to the operations team, and make sure that any developer who has provisioned any of the product or services in AWS is deleted. Okay. Now compliance. Compliance also sometimes you provisions one of the server EC2 in Europe, Germany, Frankfurt, or maybe Germany, just a simple example. Okay. And
Okay.
you developed an application through your developers which is making the data of all the healthcare German citizens to be transferred to Singapore because the compute capacity of Singapore is very less compared to Europe. For each 1 hour of EC2 compute, you are being charged only $20, but in Europe you are charged $80 or 80 pounds or euros. So what you're doing is you're getting the whole data from Europe to you have written the Java code in such a way. It is not the guarantee of the AWS that whatever code that you're writing, whatever it is doing, you need to make sure. But what compliance they can give you is that they can give you a small pop-up saying that okay, this data is being transferred. Make sure that GDP or anything is actually you're following these things. Okay. Now the change management. Change management in the sense you have the server and you have a new version of code to be deployed on it. You have different users to be deleted on it. You have very feasible way you can have the change management. So I think any experienced guy in the IT would understand what's a change management in a very deeper level. But as an example, I can give you that today, if you have one version of the code, second version of code where Gaurav is the client and his web application is dynamic. His web application is included with video application, video enabled KYC. This is called as a version 3. If they want to deploy the version 3 in it, okay, in the Mumbai server, then how it can happen is first option, they should will they shut down the server for 2 minutes, deploy it, and then shut on the switch on the server so that new code is actually running. Will they do in this way? Then for the 2 minutes, nobody will be able to access. The second option is that without any disruption to the service, automatically it is being deployed. Which one is the better option?
Second one, sir.
First option is the better one.
Second option.
Second option. Now think that you have some 7 servers because the active users are heavy. you have 7 different servers, and the traffic is being redirected to all the different 7 servers. Now you want only 3 servers with your version 3 of the code, but the other 4 servers to be with version 1. This feasibility or this type of feature is also called as a blue green, where deployment can take place in that way. But think that there is no cloud provider if you want to do deployment in this way called as the blue green, where blue means you have the older code, green one is that your version 3 of the code is being deployed. You need to shut down your server, deploy the code, and it might take nearly half an hour again to reboot if it is Windows, and less than 10 minutes if it is Linux, but for maybe 10 minutes or 30 minutes, that particular server is not in use, not in your node, and all the traffic which this server has to do is not actually catering to this particular traffic. That is how the change management as a feature is given by the AWS, that no service disruption is happening, okay, and your server is running, and then when the new code is actually deployed, actually it is pointing out to the new code, not to the older one. Incident management is an assignment. Gaurav, you take it as an assignment to let me know some statement what is an incident management, and with respect to cloud also, what is incident management, what is a feature as an incident management in AWS. Please write it down as an assignment. And then of course you have the cost. The cost is very much less. It is like pay as you go. Your build for even millisecond, it's not like a round square of billing, where if you're using for 9 minutes 59 seconds, then you will be only billed for 9 minutes 59 seconds, not for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have 24/7 service just for the AWS. You have enterprise support for the AWS. You have the customer care there for the cloud service desk and enterprise support also. So what will be the difference is that if I'm facing any issue with myself, I'm an individual person using AWS services, then I go for the service desk. If any company have taken any enterprise credentials and they are using this particular AWS products, they can go to the enterprise support. What will be the difference, guys? Any idea? Service just an enterprise support.
Sir,
Enterprise
service.
support is something for the product which is sold by company, any form. They will provide the support whenever we have issues.
Yep. Yeah, the response will be little quicker rather than if an individual is calling them smaller, because from the enterprise it's a bigger customer, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
for the day one, yeah. So you have this thing day one, the cloud features. You have seen demo zone, access through bash, introduction. I think, yeah, you can start. You have done with the introduction, cloud features. This is the day one, and let me show you the day two would be your IAM. But let's see how you can go to the service of IAM. All the services here, which I explained you in the demo, you can go to the security, identity, and compliance IAM. You can see that currently I am logged in as bsuraj231. This is my root, and you can see how you can actually create a user. So let's create a user for Gaurav and Vijay. Okay, add user. You can go to the users, add user. I'm creating the user at the users at our global level. Okay, so the name, let's add Gaurav. Okay,
Okay.
and parallelly one more user, let's add Vijay. Okay, now you can see that Gaurav and Vijay can access using the console through the browser, that is called as the AWS management console access, or they can write down a Java code or a Python code or a .NET code, and using the same credentials, okay, username, password, and the keys, installing it in their code, and they can access, provision any server, provision any thing in that. So if I check this, this is called as a programmatic access, and next permissions. Now very basic level of IAM is that all the users are actually, if any users are there, user 1 and user 2 actually should be attached to any particular group 1 or group 2 in this way. Okay, a user can be in 2 groups, okay, or maybe a user can be in a single group. So I'm creating a group, okay, and this group have all the administrator access, okay, or they can have only S3 read access. S3 as S3 full access, S3 is one of the product, or the S3 read only access, but I'm giving you the full access. So FULL, full. Let me just go back and come back again. Okay, create a group. Shall we create a group? Okay, this group is group name is batch 4 and we are at 9. Okay, batch 4 night. Is it 9, right?
So in real time, who is going to do this job in this task?
DevOps guys.
Oh, even for any development?
MNC, yeah, in an MNC you have the roles and responsibilities divided. So DevOps guy at the start of the project, he will be doing this, or maybe the whole team. If it is divided, they have a very small team, then everybody will be creating their own username and password, or they will be attaching themselves to the group. It depends upon the team size. It depends upon the company also. I was working in an MNC. They had the DevOps, and in the same MNC for the second project, which was on the IoT, we were asked to do it ourselves. I was working in the startup there. As I had the experience, everybody was doing individually because there were only 3 4 guys. There was no separate. So it depends upon the availability of the resources. It also depends upon the environment where you are. If the whole thing is being managed by any department as a DevOps or a operations, they will be doing this. You'll be only receiving the mails stating that okay, this is the group and this is we have added you in the group. You'll be creating a ticket. Okay, in an MNC, you'll be creating a ticket, waiting for 2 days just to get your console or programmatic access. As you are a developer or maybe you are the tech lead, then you are having the full access. Okay, because
Okay.
MNCs they take care of lot. They have stake to the business, so they have different departments, and anybody who is getting the access, it is through the ticketing system. But as an example, if I take for the startup, there you don't have any much hierarchy. Everybody is doing their own stuff, and if they need access to the whole developer, access is provided by a single person if he knows the hands-on for the AWS. I hope I was able to give the complete your query, right? So administrator access, they selected it, which is policy. You created the group and the group is added with both the users. You created the group, or you have the second option as copy permission from an existing user. If I've created one user who has this all, if it's the same project, second developer is to be given, I can copy his permissions, or I can attach his policy, extra policy permissions in that, okay, as a file directly I can upload. Then I can have it tags. This is the key name. Later we'll see where is this key value. You review it. You have the usernames, Gaurav and Vijay. You have programmatic and AWS console access. The password is auto-generated. Okay, they are in a group with policy as IAM user change password. Then you created the user. Very important point here is just not the username and password, but you have to download the CSV. This CSV, let's see how this CSV looks. This CSV contains not just the username, password, but also the access key, the secret key. Okay, so don't worry, I'll be deleting these secret keys, and this is the console. You can hit this console, and Gaurav can actually, I can share it to Gaurav saying that this is your Gaurav's. I can send him the mail. This is your access key secret. Better if don't send it on the mail. You can send it in an encrypted mail. If you are in an MNC, every time you need to send it in an encrypted mail and the console link. Then as I made it as a developer, Vijay as a tech lead, then I'll be giving him the different user policy there for him. But for an hands-on, I've created 2 users in here. So this is how the IAM thing works. You can actually see the Gaurav Vijay. You can send them emails. Okay, close it and you can see that how many different users I have. You need to refresh so that you are able to see them Vijay, Gaurav. Okay, alphabetically you can set them. Okay, so this is how the users are given access. You have your own access, and you have the secret key which you should never share it to others. Secret key will be used for the programmatic. Your Java code will require it to access the to get authorized to creation or deletion of any of the services in the AWS. Okay, so that is for the day. This is for the day one. Actually, on the day one, you have only the cloud features because you both guys are little experienced, so have completed with the demo cloud features, and on the IAM side also. So that's it. Any queries, questions? Practice it in your free time.
Okay.
So IAM is it's completed or just started?
Yeah, it's completed. We have created the user. In the day two, we'll be creating any other groups, just like what is the roles, the policies. As it's 22/8, so I have called it as a day. We'll be completing with the roles, policies, identity providers. Okay.
Okay. So, but policies, I mean, the users and all, rather than UI, is there any way that we can create using like a JSON structure or like that?
Yeah, you have the different one of the tool from the policy action. Okay, you can actually create it as a JSON, but that is a very hectic process. You can use it as a tool. Okay, you have a tool provided by the AWS. You can use it and then create the policy, copy the JSON from it, and store the JSON as a policy in your whole group. But
So once I create through UI, is there any way that I can bring the JSON structure which is created?
yeah, so you can see that you have the groups, and you can see in the you have selected this one, okay, and you have the permission. You can attach a policy. You see, you can attach a policy. Let me check where you can attach upload as a policy file. But basically, what will happen is there will be many syntax you need to take care. So most of the DevOps or anybody who you have the GUI which is very very easy actually, where you do not have to create any JSON miss. If you miss a single comma there,
No.
it will that.
In one of the project where I have seen that they are creating a anything EC2 or anything using a JSON structure before they launch their batch process or any task.
They might be editing the policy, removing some of the roles before it hits the database.
No, I mean they have a rules and everything is built. Which EC2 mission they are running before their batch runs using JSON. So that's where I want to understand.
Yeah, this is the in the roles you can see in the policies. I have one of the policy. You have this particular JSON format, and you can actually you have a link where you can get the tool. Okay, which I have never used it, but I still remember it. You have the policies in like effective allow these actions, but line. deny this one. You see, we deny kind of. Yeah. So this is the JSON that you're speaking, which is at the policy level. The rules also you can see that if you have a different particular role, if you select this role, you can see the JSON format of this particular role. You can copy paste this one, but basically I have only used only to remove if there is anything as an allow. Okay, and paste it as a JSON value in the EC. Any other query?
No, for now I don't have. Maybe I can ask tomorrow once we move on to the next topic.
Tomorrow it's a Sunday. We'll be meeting on Monday. Okay.
Okay, Monday. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.